Hi there, Edward.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
I'm great, Edward. I'm great. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you.
Edward, thank you for sparing some time to talk to me today. For the benefit of people listening to this recording, we're going to talk about your fan page and when it started and how you've grown it now to 1,000+ fans. When did you actually launch your fan page?
September 13th of last year, so 2011.
Okay, so that's about, it's about 6 months, isn't it?
Just over, yes.
Yeah. And you've reached a bit of a turning point sort of quite recently, haven't you?
I have. I went over 1,000 a short while ago, and it's just been building steadily from there. Once you hit 1,000, it just skyrockets naturally. So
yeah. So, I mean, and that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, is that there does seem to be a point where a fan page that's run well, as yours is, it starts to gather its own momentum. Do you think it's fair to say that?
Absolutely. I call it critical mass, and I find that it's in anything that we do, it eventually hits critical mass. And we begin to reap the benefits of all of the hard work that we've done.
Yeah, and certainly you've built your page without paying for any Facebook ads.
Absolutely. I'm just going to touch on the ads there. There is absolutely nothing wrong with ads, and I highly encourage them. I had just set a personal goal for myself that I was going to get to 1,500 before I even considered doing any ads.
So we know that you started your fan page on September the 13th last year. For the benefit of people listening to this recording, today is the 20th of March, 2012. In those early days, Edward, I mean, when did you start getting people interacting and engaging with your page regularly, do you think?
Probably around 800, so about a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Okay. And that's probably going to be different for every fan page, isn't it?
It is going to be different, and the niche that I'm in, everybody's unique, and everybody's niches are unique. The niche that I chose is very, very unique, and just the fact that people are interacting is actually a really big deal.
I mean, have you seen an increase in the number of requests that people do through your Facebook page?
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk a bit more about the kind of nuts and bolts, as it were, of starting your fan page. I mean, how much knowledge of marketing on Facebook did you have before you started?
Yeah, that's interesting. When I first set up my fan page, it was about a year prior to September 13th, and I didn't know why I needed to do it. I didn't know anything at all, and I just knew that I needed a fan page, and then I needed it called a specific thing. So I went in. I got a few, 25 likes. So I got my vanity URL, and then it just sat there until I realized what it was that I needed it for. It sounds kind of mysterious, but if anybody hits up my page, they'll understand exactly what it is that I'm talking about. So I started out. It was a lot of work. It looked like I wasn't making any headway. But then, bam! It did hit critical mass. It was amazing. It was like after like after like. Some days getting 100 likes.
Wow, that really is a turning point, isn't it? And I think that's an important thing for people listening to understand. There is a certain amount of work done before you start to see the rewards, as it were.
Definitely, and once you've done it once, you'll understand the concept and be able to do it the second time very easily. There's a lot of nail biting the first time, and honestly, there's days where you will want to pack it in because it looks like nothing is happening. But meanwhile, in the background, you don't know who you're displaying yourself to, how many people, what their privacy settings are, etc. So just keep going, and I guarantee if you keep at it every single day, you will get to where you want to be, and goals. set goals. That's really, really important, setting your goals.
So
for like and for number of people hitting your page, etc. It's very important.
So, I mean, you've touched briefly on some of the techniques that you've used, and that's something I wanted to discuss for the benefit of people listening. What sort of things did you do to get your page going and get those first few fans? Because I think to someone just starting, even getting 50 fans, it probably seems quite daunting.
You know what? 25 fans just to get your vanity URL. For some people, I've seen posts on boards that are like, please, please, please help me kind of thing. So, yeah, sometimes even the first 25 is daunting. What I did was I went out and I researched on Facebook people who might be interested in what it is that I'm peddling, and used keywords and keyword phrases to do that. I then went onto their walls and please do not spam anybody. I just went on and I wasn't selling anything. I was just being polite and courteous, saying, hey, I'm stopping by. You know, how are you doing? I did a little bit of research on every page that I hit. I looked at their info tabs. I looked at their images and photographs and came up with something that was realistic and clear about what I wanted to comment on for their page. So, you know, I really enjoyed your images on, you know, the staff lunch or whatever it was, but that was also aimed to what it is that I do. And I tagged myself.
Yep.
And 99% of the time, people would come back and say, hey, thank you very much for stopping by.
Yeah.
I then do and I still do this, I do usually every morning, I do a tag out. So the day before, any pages that I've found when I've been researching that I've enjoyed, I then put them together as a big kind of group tag.
Yep.
And you can do, currently you can do 10 at a time, so I always make sure I maximize it to 10. And I put in something either motivational or a video pertaining to something that's particular for that day, some sort of valid content that's usable, and then tag people on the bottom. But I always make sure I say, you know, it's not just, hey, here's some tags. It's like, you know what, these are some pages that I really enjoyed. I think you'll really enjoy, because it's not just for the sake of tagging. It's also for my fans that I already have to give them valuable content as well. So if you throw in a video in the mix or anything else that might be valuable, it's a no-brainer. People are going to automatically come take a look at you and take a look at the other pages who then like you back, and then you have, you know, it just it snowballs.
Because I think you've hit on an important point there. Is for people to remember that it is a network, isn't it? It's a network where people with similar interests can come together and exchange ideas.
Exactly. And if anybody tries to tell you that, basically it's all about being social. But if you're in a niche where you think that, you know, there aren't other people out there who will want what it is that you have, think again, because I am too. And at the beginning I was kind of like, you know, wow, there's too much competition. People aren't going to really want what it is that I have, potentially. But I've also been doing it for a very long time and knew better. So I kept going, and it turns out that my unique selling proposition, my USP, was kind of really hard and super easy at the same time. It was basically to be myself, and that's definitely got people coming back for more every single time. For instance, I had a client who today, who was a repeat client. I've seen her about 3 times so far, and she was so excited with the information she received today. She booked in her boyfriend and 2 of her friends.
Wow.
That's now 3 additional, and she paid for it all herself. So that's three additional clients I have now.
Well, you've made a good point there about people perhaps wondering if someone will want their service. I mean, Facebook is huge, isn't it? There's over 800 million people on it.
It's the why me syndrome. Like, why, you know, these other people are doing it so much better. They've been doing it for longer. So what? That's what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
So what? You go out there, you decide who it is you want to be, what kind of face and voice you want to project, and stick with. you'll find an audience. There's an audience for everything.
So from what you're saying then, Edward, there's a lesson to be learned there when it comes to creating your brand on Facebook.
For sure, yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, you either be branding yourself or branding your business. Mine is a little bit of both, but mostly branding myself.
Yeah. And something else we've talked about before we started this recording is the issue of etiquette, and you've touched it already. You said you post on walls, but you don't spam people. I suppose it's I suppose it's the same as if you were just having a conversation with a colleague at work or a friend you know, or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Be as friendly as you can. Be humble. Please, thank you. That goes a long way. Please and thank you for sure. Be as humble as you possibly can, and know that when you're posting on somebody else's wall, it's like you're stepping onto their territory or onto their ground, and some people tend to be very protective, let's say that, of their territory. So, going in there, don't go in yelling and screaming. Go in very quietly and just say, hey, here I am, and here it is. Honestly, I would even suggest not doing any, like, hey, my name is Edward, and, oh, look at my special offer. Never, ever do that. If you've established a relationship with them and a rapport, then sure, why not? But it's all about it's relationship marketing. So you want to have a relationship before anything else, and the way you make your relationship is exactly the way you do on the street or in real life. You get to know the person, so you get to know the other pages, and the way you do that is by interacting with them as regularly as you can.
So you've researched other pages to some degree, by the sounds of it. You've built relationships with them.
On a daily basis.
Yeah, and you've also mentioned the content on your page as well.
Right.
Yeah, so it sounds like you've got to put some thought into making the content actually genuinely useful and relevant, and not just posting something for the sake of it.
Most definitely. I look at my insights on a regular basis and check and see who my target audience is. I then go and research on the web or wherever I can find it, in books. Sometimes I go to the library, look in magazines. That's when I'm, when I allow myself to leave the office. And it's not only is it a lot of fun doing the research, it's interesting to see what my target audience is actually interested in. And fortunately for me, I have several friends who fit into that category, so I just kind of ask them, what would you be interested in if you were, and, fill in the blank here, and they've been extraordinarily helpful. And so use everything that Facebook has to give you, including insights and everything else.
Yeah. So just to go back to the beginning, Edward, or let's say if you were starting it again, because you've already mentioned that if you do it a second time, it would be much easier. Is there anything you would do differently, or would you sort of keep it pretty much as you've done it this time?
The only thing I would do differently would be mindset. There's a few other things I would do that I would tweak, but mindset, I think that's important, the most important thing. I would know going into it that I would be a success without any shadow of a doubt in my mind. Even when it was kind of going slow, I would expect it to go slow, and just keep moving forward, doing everything on a daily basis, set myself a schedule, stick to the schedule, which is what I did. Yeah. And on those days where I was kind of looking at it and saying, oh, this isn't going anywhere, where are all the people interacting, and, because it's supposed to be social and people are supposed to be coming to you, I would just keep reminding myself that, it's coming. It's just a case of it hitting enough people, getting enough people interested, and then pop.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it'll go pop, and then suddenly you'll have so many people interacting with you, you'll kind of wonder where they were all before. And they were all there, they just weren't, they were doing other things.
Yeah, yeah. So just to summarize what we've discussed then, Edward, one of the things you need to do certainly is think about your brand. The other thing you mentioned is that just finding related pages that you can interact with and be polite. And you've also mentioned just being persistent, sticking at it, and doing the basics on a daily basis.
Definitely. And you know what? You're going to hit some pages that you can go to and be as polite as you want and non-intrusive as you want, and they're not going to like it. And you know what? Knowing that that's not the end of the world is really, really important. Really important. This isn't just an exercise in setting up a business. It's an exercise in self-growth. So expect to grow, and expect to do it yelling and screaming on some day.
And I suppose, just as in real life, that you sometimes find yourself in a work situation, you find yourself in working in a team or a business where you don't necessarily relate to everybody there. I suppose it's the same with Facebook pages in a way, from what you're saying.
Well, it's exactly the same. It's no different than, like I said, making a friendship on the street or like in quote-unquote real life. Some people will like you, some people won't. Some people will think you're competition. Other people will realize that, you know, the more the merrier, the better we work together, let's joint venture kind of thing. You know, the better value we're going to add for our clients, that kind of thing. So you're dealing with all different types of personalities that are behind these pages. But that's a big thing that you want to get out there with your page, is the whole personality. That's what has allowed me to win over a lot of people, is there's a certain stigma attached to what I do, and I just break right through it, and I'm like, I'm me, this is what I'm doing, there's no apologies, everybody's welcome, and if for some reason you're not liking the experience, by all means, let me know, or, you know, move on.
Fantastic. So that was something else that we discussed before the recording, is that you did meet some resistance, but you've just persevered and got through that. And yeah, it sounds
the resistance I met, unfortunately, was severe and involved threats to my life.
Wow.
So I would anticipate that most cases would not receive that. Well, it's because of the niche I'm in, and once again, if anybody decides that they'd like to go and take a look at my, they'll understand, and hopefully they'll, you know, not pass the same type of judgment. But let me just say that Facebook takes care of that rapidly, swiftly, and does not allow any of that. So that's good to have somebody the size of Facebook on your side.
Fantastic. Well, Edward, it's been great talking to you, and thank you again for giving up your time and sharing that information. I know people are going to get a lot from that, because like I say, I think it's difficult for people starting to visualize even 50 likes, let alone 1,000 plus. So that's been really helpful, and thank you for giving up your time.
Oh, that's been my pleasure. If anybody has any questions or concerns, I know they can hit you up, and if they're more than welcome to come by and ask me as well.
Sure, that's great. Thanks, Edward. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Excellent. Very much. Bye-bye.